Hey, my name is Lisa, and today I will share what lessons I've learned working as a freelance industrial designer. So hopefully you will keep all of this in mind and you will not repeat my mistakes. So I've been in the industry since 2017. And when I was just starting, I was an industrial design sophomore student looking for absolutely any opportunity to work for real clients in the real world to understand what it's like. So I didn't care at all what money I will receive in the end. I was just trying to gain experience. And I would accept absolutely anything that was industrial design related and then 3D modeling later on. So I would spend all of my free time looking for projects and then working on them. I had no weekends because here in Russia we study 6 days a week and only Sunday is the day off, which I also spent doing some home tasks as well as working for clients. So the first lesson I've learned is that time management is everything. You should definitely rest on weekends because if you work with no weekends at all, you will probably be tired all the time as I was, and obviously you will be less productive. So now I work 5 days a week and I often take breaks. I go for a walk after lunch and I also do sport, which I had absolutely no time for when I was at uni. The second lesson I've learned was about the payment. So you should always take 50% of the prepayment in advance, no matter if it's your first time working with this client or if you have already worked with him before. Because in the early days, again, I had experience when I worked on 4 projects with this person, and then he disappeared with no payment after working for quite a while with me. And that's very disappointing, and you should always take care of your payment before you even start. Don't trust anybody because the person might seem very nice and kind, but you don't know this person in person, if that makes sense. So always take the prepayment before starting, and then the second half of the payment before you deliver the final files, which can be the final sketch or the final 3D model, depending on what you're working on. The next lesson I would like to share with you is about booking projects in advance for the next couple of months or so. So I would say 3 years after I started, I realized that it actually makes sense to book the project if you're a little too busy at the moment and the client can wait. So you book this project for the next month or for the next week. Because in the early days, again, I used to take only the projects that I can work on here and now. And if I was too busy, I used to deny all the client requests, which doesn't make sense because freelance is a very inconsistent thing. And if you book projects for the next while, you will get this consistent workflow much easier. But again, of course, not every single client will accept such a long delivery, but if he can, that's great, and I would definitely suggest you do that. Another lesson I've learned is that you should never rely on one source of income, or better say, the one source of client work. Which means you should definitely have different kinds of platforms that bring you clients instead of having one. So never put all of your eggs in one basket, because if something happens to this one platform, you will end up with nothing. And it can happen to anyone, because you probably heard that some social media accounts get blocked without any particular reason. Luckily, it never happened to me, but I've heard that a lot of big Instagram accounts, for example, get blocked very often, and you can basically do nothing. So people have to start new accounts, go through all of this process once again, like building audience, building your social media presence, etc. So I would definitely recommend you start with one platform, and when it starts paying off in some way, you should definitely register on another platform and have at least like 2 or 3 sources. The next lesson I've learned is that you don't have to waste your time thinking about project before you start working on it. So in the early days, I used to create some concepts and ideas before I even accept the client project, before the client sends me the first prepayment. So I kind of made sure that I really can come up with something. But then I realized that it doesn't really make much sense, because if you know the design process well and if you have experience working before, it doesn't really matter if that was a client project or if it was your passion project you did in your free time. If you're pretty familiar with the design process, you will not have this problem of not being able to create absolutely anything, because again, some concept might seem a little stupid to you, some ideas might seem just trash, but you always have to start with something. And even if your first ideas seem useless, it doesn't mean that they are in the reality. So don't worry about that. Make sure you know the design process and you stick to it during the whole process of working with the client. Another lesson I've learned was about the deadline. So no matter how passionate you are about the project, do not accept requests with some crazy and unreal deadlines. So for example, if your design process lasts for, let's say, 2 weeks, and a client comes to you saying that he needs the project to get done from scratch in 3 days, that's not what you want, because obviously you will not be able to deliver the same quality service if you work so many times faster than you are used to. And no matter really how passionate you are, you probably won't be able to complete it in such amount of time and keep the consistency of the quality. So I would definitely recommend informing your clients with the timeline of your design process, and hopefully he will be understandable and he will accept your delivery time. If not, maybe it's not the best time, it's not the best opportunity for you. So think about what is rational for you, and again, just know your design process and how long it takes for you to complete something like that. So these were all of the points I wanted to share with you in this video. Stay tuned for more of such content, and I will see you in the next video.